You know the ones I'm talking about. Storefronts that just appear overnight. They look a little too perfect, a little too empty. There's just something off. Well, today we're going to peel back the curtain on these weird urban mysteries, these shadow facades that are hiding in plain sight. It always starts with a feeling, right? The sense that the people inside a shop really, really don't want you there. Their eyes don't say, "Can I help you?" Instead, as one source so perfectly puts it, they threaten you with their gaze. And that creepy experience, it's actually the very first clue in a much, much bigger puzzle. I mean, really think about it. Have you ever had that strange, unwelcome vibe? You walk in, maybe you're just looking around, but something in the air, the weird silence, the stares, just makes you want to back out the door. What if that feeling wasn't just you being paranoid? What if it was the whole point? So let's dig into that feeling. What is that exactly? Because it's not just a case of bad customer service. No, it's something way more calculated. It's an atmosphere that feels intentionally hostile, right from the moment you step inside. And this is the central contradiction, the thing that makes no sense. A store's entire reason for existing is to get people to come in and buy stuff. But these places, they do the exact opposite. The whole setup seems engineered to make you uncomfortable, to make you want to leave as fast as you possibly can. Okay, so that one strange encounter, that eerie feeling, it's easy to just brush it off. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not an isolated incident. When you start paying attention, you realize it's part of a much bigger and, frankly, more coordinated pattern that's playing out all over our cities. We're not talking about just one quirky, weird shop owner. We're talking about a whole network of businesses that all share these same strange qualities, and they tend to pop up suddenly and all together. Now that points to some kind of organization and a purpose that goes way beyond selling snacks and sodas. And you know what? There's actually a name for this phenomenon. It's called sudden clustered presence. It's when one day a city block is totally normal and the next day, boom, 3 identical-looking convenience stores have opened up. That's not how normal business works. That is a massive red flag that something else is going on right under our noses. So, let's put on our detective hats for a minute. If you were trying to spot one of these potential shadow facades, what would you look for? Well, it turns out there are 3 key signs that show up again and again. Let's run through the checklist. Okay, number 1, just like we talked about, is that sudden clustered presence. Number 2 is excessive staffing. And number 3, the clue that got us started on all this, is a deliberately hostile customer environment. When you see those 3 things together, you've got a very suspicious picture. Let's talk about that second red flag, excessive staffing. Just picture it. You walk into a totally empty shop, and there are like 5 or 6 employees just standing there. They don't say hi, they don't ask if you need help. It makes zero business sense to pay that many people to do nothing. Their very presence becomes part of the intimidation tactic. And this brings us right back to that third red flag, which connects everything. The staff just watches you. The air feels heavy. And you just can't shake that feeling that you're intruding on something. It becomes crystal clear that the goal isn't to make a sale, it's to get you to turn around and walk right back out. Which, of course, leads to the million-dollar question. A business that actively pushes away customers? I mean, that's completely backwards. If the storefront is all just for show, then what's the real performance happening behind the scenes? All right, so what's really going on? Well, investigators and people who study this stuff have landed on 2 main theories that could explain all this weirdness. And both of them boil down to one idea. The store isn't there to sell you things, it's there to move money. The first theory is pretty classic, money laundering. The store is the perfect cover. You can take dirty cash and wash it clean by ringing up thousands of dollars in fake sales for items that were never actually sold. The second theory is a similar scheme, but it involves food stamp fraud. In that case, benefits are bought illegally for, say, 50 cents on the dollar, and then they're redeemed through the store's register for their full cash value. So, at the end of the day, the cash register is the only part of the store that really matters. The shelves, the products, the employees, the sign out front, it's all just window dressing. It's a prop for the real business, which is processing phony transactions. They don't need real customers because the customers are all on paper. And all of this leads to this really powerful way of thinking about these places. They aren't actually stores, not really. They're more like elaborate stage sets built right into the landscape of our neighborhoods, designed for just one thing, to create a totally believable illusion. And that gives us our official term for this whole thing, the shadow facade. It looks like a normal business, it has the shape of a business, but its real purpose is hidden, operating in the shadows cast by its own fake, legitimate-looking front. I love how one source describes it. It says to think of them as theatrical stage sets. The employees, they're just actors. The stuff on the shelves, those are just props. They're all in place to keep up the illusion, but there is no real play being performed for an audience of actual customers. From the street, it looks totally normal. Just another corner shop. But the second you step over that threshold, you realize you've walked backstage. The illusion just crumbles, and you suddenly get it. You weren't supposed to be there, because you're not part of the real show. And that really leaves you with a pretty unsettling thought, doesn't it? The next time you're walking down your own street, maybe look a little closer. Which of those storefronts are real businesses, and which ones are just stage sets, waiting for a show that's never ever going to start?